Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester with Mr. Mark Llewellyn.
Thank you, and with Mr. Michael Adams.
We've got a jam-packed show ahead, haven't we?
Haven't we just?
We have indeed.
Yes, I am going to be talking about an exhibition that's happening in a lovely museum in Burnley.
You are quite the exhibitionist, aren't you? Flushed away, I'm talking a brand new toilet coming to 53.2, plus taking a look at their Christmas schedules.
So it's where your career is going. And we're going to be talking about the history of Salford and Manchester.
Oh, exciting. Plus, I've got a chat with Chloe Petts, who's bringing her Edinburgh Fringe Festival show to the Lowry in Salford. So there's lots going on. Here's how your Wednesday evening with Your Manchester is shaping up. Now, you may have seen the exciting news that our Sue Cleaver has been confirmed for Sister Act.
She has. She's playing the Mother Superior, isn't she? She's taking over at Manchester, and then she's doing a few weeks on the tour.
I have to admit to you, though, I've never seen Sister Act.
What?
I know.
The film?
The film, the musical. That's the one with Whoopi Goldberg, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And isn't it Maggie Smith in the film plays the Mother Superior?
I couldn't tell you. Is that Maggie Smith from Downton?
Yes, she's done a lot of other
She always reminded me of Angela Lansbury.
Okay.
Yeah. Sue Cleaver, though. Sue, if you're watching, what's happening with Eileen Grimshaw?
Yes, because is she leaving the show or is she taking a break? Is Stephen Reed coming back from the dead to do it in?
Maybe.
Or Pat Phelan?
Oh, not Pat Phelan. Imagine if he came back from the dead again.
I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a chat with 53.2 all about their new loos.
Go over that way then.
And you go that way.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. So in the studio with me now is Simon Naylor and George Miller from 53.2.
Hello.
We've got loads to talk about, haven't we?
So much.
Yes.
So much.
Let's start with the loos.
Start with the lose. That's not the way we mean to go on. So yeah, we got a grant a little while back. A lovely grant from Backstage Trust, which means that we're able to complete one of the things we said we'd do really early on when we opened, which was to get a changing places toilet in there.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably be the fourth in Manchester City Centre, give or take. There's lots popping up now, which is really fabulous. It's got a toilet in there that goes up and down.
All right.
It's got all the handrails. It's got a bed. It's got a privacy screen because sometimes people will have carers with them.
Yeah.
So what it means is it just opens up access to disabled patrons. People in the city can come and use it as well.
Yeah.
Audience members. It means that actors who will need those facilities can come and be on stage there as well and use the hoist and things like that to get costume change, which really opens up everything for us in terms of access, which is great.
And I imagine this is quite, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are in quite a unique venue. You're in a railway arch.
We are indeed.
So I imagine something like this is quite of an oddity, I guess, for a venue of yours to be able to install and sort of...
Well, I think so. I feel like at the moment, unfortunately, changing places toilets is sort of an oddity and a bit too rare.
I certainly didn't know that was a thing.
What's actually happening is that the brilliant Craig and his team are going to build like a shell.
Yeah.
We've already put a wall in there, which will take a lot of the weight that's needed for the hoist and things like that, the heavy machinery. So it's kind of just standalone, which is great. And then we're going to build the rest of the dressing rooms around it, which means that all that back there will be a lovely changing area, really, which is fantastic.
Even better because it's making your venue even more accessible.
Absolutely.
For absolutely everybody.
We're actually not calling it a changing places toilet. We're going to call it a freedom suite.
Oh, I like that.
It's a bit sassy, isn't it? No, it's a bit nice.
You need gold toilet paper, I feel.
I don't think we can paint the walls like crazy.
Pink.
Yeah.
Go Your Manchester.
I feel like there might be some restrictions on it.
I'd say let our design team come in and jazz it up.
Wow, leopard print
Judy
toilet
Garland
seats.
on the
Absolutely,
wall.
definitely.
And George, it's your most favourite time of the year coming up.
It is.
Your birthday, of course.
My birthday.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about Christmas, and I know it might seem a little bit early for Christmas.
I don't know,
but,
the supermarkets.
well, exactly.
Yeah, what we have 65 days away or something like that.
Something like that.
My goodness, it's creeping in, isn't it? What have you guys got coming up at Christmas time?
So it's called Burnley. It's set at Christmas Eve on a service station.
Interesting.
It's bizarre, isn't it, really?
Well, no, because I feel like a lot of things happen at a service
That's
station.
it. The inspiration came from that, really. The inspiration came from where do different people meet who might not normally meet.
Well, it's potentially as well one of the only places open on a Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and you got to get your coffee.
The whole driving home for Christmas thing that's everyone stops at a service station.
Yeah,
Don't they?
we're doing it with Imaginality, who did our last one, Realms of Glory in the Arches. They did our last Christmas show. Ollie is an incredible writer. And this play is actually being created from scratch, and we've got a team of writers working on it. We're going to write access into it. We've got a real diverse writing team, which means all the stories are coming from different kind of backgrounds and stuff like that. It's really exciting. We're excited. Tickets went on sale today, actually, about an hour ago.
Good plug. Good
Yeah,
plug.
about an hour ago. And they're early bird tickets as well, so you can get a ticket for a tenner.
Oh, even better.
So get on there.
Gents, you've got such a busy few months ahead. Chuffed a bit you got the funding for this,
Thank
Luke.
you.
Yes.
I know it's an unusual one to talk about today, but
Toilets.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It really is. And best of luck as well with this exciting stuff in the new year.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
And,
We'll let you
of
know.
course, the lead up to Christmas. Looking forward to speaking to you nearer to the time to find out about that exciting
you.
project.
Cheers for having us, guys. Take care.
Well, lovely. Now we know where Michael's career has gone. Now, I have been taking a walk around Manchester the last few weeks, and this is another one in the city centre. And we start this week's walk with a radical slogan: the Hacienda must be built. And that's how the Hacienda got its name. Of course, the famous nightclub of the 80s and 90s, funded by Factory Records, Tony Wilson. It's part of Manchester's history, and it gave us, isn't it, Manchester, which we still use today. Sadly, the building went. It had been a warehouse before it became a nightclub, and now we have some rather nondescript apartments. Such a shame that there's not some kind of memorial here to those wonderful days. But we're going to now cross over the road, going to go into another fairly new development. So this area is known as First Street, and right in the middle is a statue of Frederick Engels. The statue itself was brought over from the Ukraine. It had been cut in two and abandoned, and so it had to be joined back together. You can see the seam if you look closely. Frederick Engels actually lived in Salford, and he wrote a report into the appalling working and living conditions there. The report really didn't do much good, but it was only when he teamed up with Karl Marx and they worked on the Communist Manifesto, published in 1848, that his work then was listened to. And that is why Frederick Engels is here in the middle of First Street. In 1927, the Ritz Dance Hall opened for business, and you could go for tea dancing and dance lessons, and it was all terribly sophisticated. In the 1960s, the building was turned into a bingo hall temporarily, and then into a nightclub, and it's still, of course, used as a music venue today. The Beatles played there. The Ritz was also a venue for one of Belinda Scandal's appearances, I do believe. But there are also other famous people who have appeared here too. And it's been used in cinema history because it features in the film A Taste of Honey, which of course was set down the road in Salford. So it's seen people come and go, and tastes come and go as well. In the Victorian age, Manchester was known as Cottonopolis because of the goods that were exported in and out of the city. Now, they could only do that by adding as much transportation as they possibly could. So we've seen in previous walks the canals that were brought into the city centre. The Manchester Ship Canal that meant that they could divert traffic away from the port in Liverpool. Was that the start of a bit of rival between Manchester and Liverpool? And of course, the railway. And later on in another walk, I'm sure we will visit where the first railway station was, now the Science and Industry Museum. But you can see throughout the city these viaducts, and they're still here. They've got to go through to get the trains through, and they're now being utilised in some cases as workshops and shops and so on. This one is now the gateway to, well, a whole host of historical things. Jack Rosenthal, very, very famous, very talented playwright. He was born in Cheetham Hill, Manchester. His parents were Russian Jewish immigrants, and he joined Coronation Street in the very early days. He wrote over 120 episodes of Coronation Street. He'd actually started with Granada Television in 1956 when it first opened here, and up till then he worked in advertising. He won numerous awards. He wrote so many fabulous pieces for stage and television. He also married the actress Maureen Lipman. So he cemented the Coronation Street connection, didn't he? Fabulous man, and here he is with a street named after him. We finish our walk this week at Oxford Road Station, another transport hub in the city centre. And opposite, of course, was the old Picture House and the Corner House, as it changed its name to. And there used to be a cinema on this side as well, called the Cinema, which opened in 1910 as a news cinema. Yes, younger viewers, you used to have to actually go to the cinema to watch the news. No mobile phones and no telly in those days. Yes, another corner with a throwback to our past. We'll see you for another walk next week.
And I'm joined by Dr. Alison Brown with details of a fantastic exhibition that's happening at the Queen Street Mill. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So do you want to tell us a bit about this exhibition then?
Yeah, sure. So the exhibition's called Litmus, Environmental Legacies of Cotton. It's on as part of the British Textile Biennial 2023 across October. And as you said, ours is taking place at the Queen Street Mill in Burnley. It's based on some research that we've done as part of the Cottonopolis Collective at the University of Manchester. And we've been working with Nat Linney, who's a textile artist and educator, and various other sound and videographers and things like that to bring together a reflection, I suppose, on the social and ecological legacies of cotton and Manchester.
So we all know, obviously, Manchester was known as Cottonopolis, and
Yes.
really all the towns in the northwest benefited from
Absolutely.
this great industry. So the exhibition looks kind of outward, does it?
Yeah, so we're, as a group of researchers, we're at the University of Manchester, we're quite interested in exploring these global social and ecological legacies. So obviously there are very strong ecological legacies and social legacies across Manchester and Greater Lancashire as well. So things like environmental pollution, as well as the fall of the sort of cotton industry and the impact that had on working class communities across the regions. But within this collective, what we're really interested in is not just these local place-based impacts, but thinking about how, as a city and as a set of kind of cultural and scientific institutions, we've really had a big role to play in the expansion of colonialism through cotton agriculture and science across the globe, and to bring, I suppose, some questions and reflections about this sort of celebration of so-called excellent and innovative legacies of Manchester and cotton, actually questioning a little bit about the lasting impact we've had elsewhere in places. As you can probably pick up from my accent, I'm Australian, but we found in our work, for example, there were a lot of very strong connections between Manchester and the colonial expansion in the southern colony of Queensland, for example. Yeah.
And Queen Street Mill, for those who haven't been there before, is obviously the perfect setting for it, isn't it? I mean, it's a heritage mill, but they still work there, don't they? Or get the machinery working.
They do, yeah. It's a really spectacular location. We're really privileged to have been invited by British Textile Biennial to take part, and they sort of, when they understood, I'll sort of explain the works in a second, but when they understood the scale of works that Nat Linney and the team would be producing, sort of earmarked that location for us. But I think it was one of the last working mills in Lancashire, and they still keep many of the machines working to this day, still produce cloth there as well. And so hundreds of these machines sit in this weaving room where these big pieces of cotton cloth that were actually not woven at Queen Street Mill, but actually were donated to us by Quarry Bank Mill, the National Trust property. But yeah, these big pieces of cotton sort of hanging in this location. It's really beautiful.
It's been used as a filming location, hasn't it? It was in the King's
Absolutely.
Speech and so on.
Yeah. So as I said, we're very lucky. It's a great place to visit in and of itself, but there's two exhibitions as part of the British Textile Biennial going on there at the moment. Ourselves, Litmus and the Cottonopolis Collective, but also a beautiful set of work by an artist called Madhu. So yeah, definitely recommend a visit.
Fantastic. So the exhibition's on now until the 29th of October.
It's on until the 29th. And so, what visitors will find are these big pieces of cloth. What we did with those pieces of cloth is sort of submerge them in water, bury them in soil, compost heaps at the Furs Environmental Research Institute, all these locations across Manchester where we can start to trace the ecological legacies locally, but also then thinking about how that kind of reach happens globally. So there's sort of artistic works that people can go and have a look at, but also a set of archival materials linking to different cultural and scientific institutions across the city, I've curated a cabinet called Queensland, so looking very specifically at the impact that colonialism had, cotton and colonialism had on the establishment of that colony of Queensland in the 1860s. And Dr. Ariana Tozzi has done a beautiful photo essay looking at kind of cotton weaving machines that have been exported from Todmorden actually down to India during that period, but how they've been repurposed through local agricultural revolutions happening in central India. So there's a series of both artistic and archival photographic works on display at Queen Street Mill until the 29th of October.
Sounds fascinating. So we should just say that the museum isn't open every day, is it? So it's worth checking on the website.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so I think the exhibition's open from Thursday to Sunday. I believe it's 10 till 4. But if you go on the British Textile Biennial website, that contains a lot more information, both about our exhibition and the broader British Textile Biennial.
Lovely. Fantastic. Thank you very much for whetting our appetite with that. And now Michael is in the snug, talking about an Edinburgh Festival production coming to Salford.
And joining me now to talk all about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival show that is going on tour around the country, it's Chloe Petts. Hello to you, Chloe.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. So glad to have you with us today. Before we talk about your show, we've got to talk about the LOL word. Of course, I think we all know LOL, laugh out loud, lots of love. What's it mean for you?
So we put together this like queer comedy collective, and we went through like various different iterations of names, but we decided to do tribute to the sort of noughties phenomena, the L word, and call it the LOL word. And so it's basically just like this mixed bill of queer comedians, and we put on a show at the Soho Theatre every month with like various other queer comedians, and it's always the most like celebratory, raucous, inclusive space, and we always have the best time.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. How long have you been involved with that?
That is a good question. I would look. Should we say 2017? I think we'll say 2017. It was so it's the other acts are Jodie Mitchell and a double act called Shelf, and we also started with someone called Chloe Green who doesn't do comedy anymore. But we started at the Edinburgh Fringe one year and just kind of put it on a whim, and it sold out every day. And we were like, oh, there's a real thirst for this amongst the queer community. So like, let's just do it. And it's kind of grown ever since, and turned into this real like amazing community.
Do you find that sometimes people better respond to things if it's through a bit of humour?
Definitely. Yeah, people don't want to get hit around the head with a political stick. I mean, sometimes you do want to get hit around the head with a political stick. Go and watch some satire, some political comedy, absolutely. But I think people, they want to relate to you, they want to like you, they want to laugh. And when you laugh together, that's when you can do the best bits of learning, almost like covert learning. I'm just sort of like, putting a bit of gender studies under the radar, and they don't even know that that's what they've been consuming. I feel very lucky to be in that position that's the medium that I have to communicate with people.
I guess it just makes it more accessible for everybody, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I want it to be laughs first because I'm a comedian,
Well, good on you. You're spreading this fantastic message through the medium of comedy, which I absolutely love. It is coming to our region. It's coming to Salford, the Lowry Theatre. When is that, and how can people get their hands on tickets?
So you can get your hands on tickets via chloepetts.org, and obviously I haven't got it in my head what date it is, but it's on the 12th. It's on I've just looked at it is the 12th. Thank you so much for being more on it than I am. It's the 12th of November of this year at Salford Lowry, and I've done the Lowry a couple times on my last tour actually, and doing the bigger room this time, and I've always had so much fun there. People mentioned great sense of humour. Can't deny it, won't deny it. But I would love to see as many queer people there as possible, and it will be like a raucous party atmosphere. So come along, please.
Sounds great to us. Chloe, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute honour to speak to you guys. Thank you.
Now, one of the big hits of the Edinburgh Festival this year is about to come to Manchester. And I'm joined by Ben and Tom, who are going to tell us all about their fabulous production. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So tell us about this production.
Well, the Thinking Drinkers pub quiz, Fancy Another Round, is the full title. And the show is a drinks tasting, a bit of comedy, some education around drinks, but also a quiz, all wrapped up into one evening of pure entertainment. The key thing to say is, I think, whenever we talk about Thinking Drinkers shows, is the experience is based around 5 drinks. So when you come along, you enjoy the drinks tasting, and Ben and I are drinks experts, so we talk through those different drinks. But what we've found historically, and we've been doing this show for 15 years now, is that drinks tastings can be a bit dry, a bit boring, a bit pompous. So what we've tried to do is create a lot of fun and entertainment and comedy around that experience of learning more about what you're drinking.
Right. So you've got the quiz as an element, but it's actually more than that.
Absolutely. It's so much more. It's like, well, first of all, you've got the fundamental 5 free drinks. So you get a lovely, we give you a lovely Czech lager, Budweiser. I'm not giving you that American Budweiser nonsense. You get a lovely Venezuelan rum called Diplomatico, a mezcal called Lost Explorer, and black cow vodka, which is vodka made from cow's milk, essentially.
Right.
And so everyone gets to taste those. But then what we've realised with the tasting is that it's about the people, the places, and the past behind all these drinks that are really interesting things, rather than how it tastes, because everyone has different tastes and different taste buds. So we focus on that. And the quiz element is great. If you like a quiz, you'll love it, because there are questions, but the questions are based entirely on what we tell everyone in the audience on stage. So even if you're a bit thick, even if you don't like pub quizzes, you could, a bit thick like us, you can still win a prize. All you have to do is have a drink, sit back and listen and laugh and hopefully learn a bit as well.
And you've done this show in kind of various iterations, as you say, at Edinburgh, and then you've gone on tour. So does it work better in a kind of smaller venue, or does it work just as well in theatre? Well,
we'd love to play the O2. We're not going to lie, but in terms of getting everyone 5 free drinks, it would be a logistical nightmare. So no, yes. it works in lots of different venues. We've done some odd places, but yes, it is a nice intimate show. We like getting the audience get involved. It's quite interactive. Not too interactive. If you sit in the front row, you're asking for it, to be perfectly honest. But it is good. We get a couple of people up on stage, but then also we play some games which will get everyone involved. So yes, the smaller, those kind of venues like the Frog and Bucket, and I mean pub venues essentially are brilliant, because that's what we're talking about. We're trying to get people to drink less, drink better, but we're also celebrating the pub quiz and therefore the pub. And as we all know, pubs are going through a bit of a tough time. So it's create an evening where we got you have a drink, you have a laugh, you learn a little bit. You can participate in a quiz, and it's just a good way of getting people off their sofas and away from their TVs, which are really they're big magnets for people these days. So get people out to the pub and have a laugh.
Fantastic! It sounds a great evening. So all the details on the website, and why not book your ticket to go along to the Frog and Bucket and take part, not just watch, actually be involved in something for a change. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Well, hello again.
Hello, you're still here?
I am, but not for long. It's the end of the programme, I'm afraid.
No.
It is. I'm sorry. I know.
I've enjoyed it so much tonight.
We've had a lovely time.
We've never been allowed to present together.
We haven't, and there's a good reason why. We may be back next week, depends if we've been taken off the air or not, but your Manchester definitely will. What time?
Well, 8 o'clock, Wednesday night.
See you there for even more.
Your Manchester.